And I know everybody's going to say, oh, Monty. Well, Monty, nothing.
Yeah.
What did I think it was June 13th. We reported the Jazz are listening to offers for Lauri Markkanen. What did Woj report over the weekend?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're listening to offers. They'd like to keep him, but they're listening to offers.
And what did Woj say? It will take a truckload. So I can only sit here and tell you, I know I don't know shit about shit, but I can only sit here and tell you this Jazz team is not moving in the right direction. We can spin this stuff and we can try to storytell and be positive. And the Jazz tried to trade for Mikal Bridges. And according to our sources, we're never close. And the Nets used the Jazz offer to leverage the Knicks. And in my opinion, it's the Knicks getting back over on the Jazz. Because I think that's always going to be a rivalry now.
Mm-hmm.
After the Donovan Mitchell fallout and the inability to make that trade, I don't think the Jazz were ever close to acquiring Mikal Bridges.
Oh, and I think the Lauri's value in the market obviously is going to be high because of what he can do for a team. But I think that
on his number, his salary.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Team friendly deal for sure. And I think that, this all started with the Gobert deal, right? So the Gobert deal to Minnesota set sort of this foundation. Now we've got the Bridges deal. And so now it's like Danny Ainge and the Jazz front office are sitting here saying, hey, we want this amount for Lauri Markkanen. And while I understand, and I don't even blame them for leveraging market value, I do think that with the Jazz, we're going to get to a point, and I think we're getting close to this point now, where you have to decide what direction you're going to take. And I've been saying it for a couple of months now. This team doesn't have direction. There's no like, hey, we're not, like, you haven't heard the Jazz come out and say, we're not trading Lauri Markkanen. And this is what I always try to tell Jazz fans. If they were so married to Lauri Markkanen, why has Ryan Smith not come out and said on Twitter, oh, Lauri's not going anywhere. Lauri's not going anywhere. We're not trading him. Just the same way you did with Jordan Clarkson, right? We haven't seen that. So again, my thing for the Jazz is, dude, if you are going to keep Lauri Markkanen, you need to come out and say that. And you need to extend him now. You need to get that done, because then that sends a message to the rest of the league. Hey, Lauri's not available, and the Jazz have a lot of other assets that we can look at. But they're not doing that because they're listening to offers. I'm telling you, that's what's taking place. And I don't know why Jazz fans are so resistant to this idea. Lauri Markkanen is not a 10-year player with the Utah Jazz. You're going to be lucky to have him in a Jazz uniform for 2 more years.
I think you're going to be lucky to have him in a Jazz uniform for 2 more months. Man, real quick, Woj just continues to kick the shit out of Shams, dude.
And again.
Adrian Wojnarowski breaking the news just moments ago that Tyrese Maxey has signed a $200 million extension with the Philadelphia 76ers, who are just spending that bread.
Going in, man. I mean,
yeah, they're going in. Woj is crushing Shams.
Yeah.
It is remarkable to watch.
It's just over and over again. And it's to a point where, again, with all due respect to Shams.
With all due respect.
Keep going on the Pat McAfee show. Keep going on that show, because you are becoming irrelevant just as that show is heading that same direction. And it's funny how Woj has sort of put Shams to bed, in my opinion. This free agency period, it's not just been that Woj has been like 2 minutes ahead of Shams. Like, Woj has been dominating the scene. Like, it's been Woj, and then Shams will come along like 10 minutes later and tweet something about it, to the point where Shams is tweeting. He had some crazy ass tweet about, GCU and like these, one-off deals or whatever they did in NIL, like just oddball random stuff. And I'm just telling you guys, man, like Woj is the standard. And I'm not even saying that I'm like, you know, all in on ESPN and all that, but when it comes to free agency in the NBA, I just don't know that there's a more credible, more on point guy. Like if you're an NBA fan, how are you not following Woj? Like I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, the marketing thing is very interesting. It is, what are we? It is July 1st. So you essentially have 5 weeks until he can officially sign an extension. I'm really surprised that we have not heard that they have agreed to an extension. I'm really surprised by that. And the people around the Jazz I talked to have not said that one time. And I said that 2 weeks ago before vacation. And Jazz fans got all pissed. And you call it what you want. The truth is, I don't believe that their preference in my mind is not to sign Lauri Markkanen to a deal and then go try to surround him with other great players. I think if the Jazz would have been able to make the Mikal Bridges deal, which they were never close to.
Right.
And I understand why Jazz fans are like, we were on the verge. You weren't on the verge. The Jazz were never in the conversation around Mikal Bridges. That was the Nets leveraging the Jazz to get more from the Knicks. Ask yourself, how often do the Nets and Knicks make trades? Something nobody else is talking about, and I don't know why. Do you understand how rare that is? They're down the street essentially from each other. They don't like each other, and they just made a massive trade. The Nets set their, I'm not even sure it's arguable, their best player in Mikal Bridges to the New York Knicks, which makes the Knicks a championship contender. You were never sending him to the Jazz. Never. And I say that because the Jazz have not been able to go and find another key contributor to put next to Lauri Markkanen. Part of it is, I think Danny damaged Keontae George by saying he's not a number one. I think that Ryan Smith does not want to spend in free agency. I think he does not want to add significant payroll to his roster. And everything in Smith Entertainment Group land is focused on the Utah hockey team that's going to be the Yeti.
Excuse me, it's the Utah Hockey Club.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Jazz are an afterthought right now in that portfolio. And you're seeing why. So for everybody who said that, trust me, bro, you don't have sources. For the third time, Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting exactly what we reported, but weeks later. Whether it was the Rudy Gobert situation that Woj confirmed, whether it was Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz building around Donovan Mitchell, whether it was Jordan Clarkson mysteriously opting into his contract after he said goodbye to everybody in Jazz land, and now it's Lauri Markkanen. I can only tell you so many times, this team is moving in the wrong direction.
And I think the word that perfectly describes the Jazz through all those situations is dysfunctional. I think that, everyone likes to stick it to us about the Clarkson thing because we said they were going to trade him or he was going to move on or whatever, and then he didn't. And all I'm saying is that's fine. That's cool. Like you could say we were wrong about that. But if you're a Jazz fan and you're more concerned about saying we were wrong versus why Jordan Clarkson opted in, you are putting your interest in the wrong place. Because I'm telling you right now, dudes like Jordan Clarkson, who could easily go to a championship contender and compete, don't just randomly opt in for no reason. And I'm telling you, he didn't just opt in for the money. I don't buy that for a second. And there is something there. There was a conversation, whether I don't know, whether it was a handshake thing or I have no idea. But something happened between those two. And I'm concerned that with Markkanen, we're heading in that direction where it's going to get messed up. And if they extend him, great. Hey, if you extend him, I'm not going to criticize you for that. I think you should extend him. I think it's the right thing to do. He should be your franchise player. You have him. He's in your room now. Like, why would you not extend him? Make him your franchise guy.
But if you're going to extend Lauri Markkanen, ask yourself, What are you willing to pay him? Because this is the other thing that I continue to hear about with Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen has significant financial value around the league.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay him $50 million a year?
That's what it's going to take. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. It's not a question of if it's max or he walks. It is max or he walks. Like, if you're Lauri, you're going to continue to play for this team on something less than a max after, to your point, right? He's on a team-friendly deal.
Why would you?
Why would you play, again, not trying to hate Jazz fans, but why would he play for the Utah Jazz when he has loads of interest around the league?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
James Stadium guy, Oak State class of 2004. If Dallas doesn't get Clay, they need to get Lauri.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I don't know how you make that deal.
Yeah, I don't think that Lauri's a fit with Dallas. Sorry. That doesn't work from like a roster build standpoint.
I would agree. OG Gary, say Flip's girlfriend, I hear you like him young. You better never go to cell block 1. Okay. Andy H, why does everyone say they need to extend him now? Isn't August when they're eligible to offer him an extension? No, that's when they're officially able to sign an extension.
Yeah, get this right. Don't be confused.
I think the date is officially August 6th is when they can sign Lauri Markkanen to a contract extension. They can offer him and negotiate with him anytime they want. And usually what happens is that deal's done long before that date. But you almost always hear about that. And we have not heard word one about that. So Lauri and Paul George would have been a heck of a combo.
But again,
how are you?
Like, did you guys really think that Paul George was coming to the Jazz? Like, again, free agency. He's not going to come to the Jazz when he can go to Philly.
Why isn't Klay Thompson coming to the Jazz?
Because he's going to go to the Lakers.
Why didn't James Harden come to the Jazz? Why didn't notice that Russell Westbrook's back on the block? I mean,
why
remember
didn't Kevin Porter Jr. come to the Jazz? Oh, because he's not a fit culturally with his track record, but Kyle Filipowski is apparently.
But Jake, remember,
Jesus,
Russ wanted to play for the Jazz, and the Jazz wanted Russ to play for the Jazz. Another story that we told you, he was never going to play here. And he's like, you're not a free agent destination. You're not close to winning. You're not close to competing. So you're not going to, Paul George was never coming to Utah.
So when we talk about, well, why would you want to get the Lauri extension done now? And when I say get it done, what I mean is, hey, get in agreement with Lauri. Hey, dude, here's our offer. What do you think of it? Well, I want this or I want that, or let's massage this. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're going to get together and we're going to agree that on August 6th, this is the deal we're signing. That's how the business of the league works this time of year. So when I say get the deal done, get in agreement with them, because then once you're in agreement with them, now we can start talking about trades. But until you put the Lauri thing to bed, what is every single team that you talk to in the NBA going to ask you about first? What's it going to take to get Markkanen? Well, it's going to take at least what they got for Bridges. I'm assuming that's the answer.
The problem here is you can't go to training camp without having Lauri under contract.
Because then what happens?
All you're going to talk about is, well, are you trading him? Are you trading him? Are you trading him? Are you upset you don't have a contract? What about your contract? What about your contract?
Hey, Lauri, who are other teams you'd be interested in playing for, man?
That's all you're going to get. Brandon Butler, a crack pipe dream, Tanner. Paul George wouldn't push them over the top. PG is now a finishing piece, not the guy. I mean, he shot 41% from 3 last year. And I think, is Paul George a number 1? He's not, but he's never been a number 1.
I think he's the best number 2 in the league, though.
Depends on the fit, the setup. I mean,
well, in Philly, I mean, I think that's a pretty good fit. I think, we saw how limiting James Harden's game was when he was sat next to Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. You saw how limiting that was for all three of them. Paul George is not like James Harden. Paul George is someone who is a basketball guy. He's not necessarily concerned about scoring. Is he a great scorer? Yes. Is he a great 3-point shooter? Yes. But his primary objective is to win, whether that's defensively, if he's got to play make, if he's got to score. So that's what I'm telling you. He may not be a number one per se, but he is a damn good fit with Philly, which is why they paid him.
And why is nobody talking about the absolute failure of Kawhi and Paul George? Anybody that's over now. Like, that was a complete failure.
Do you agree with the people saying that the Clippers deserve credit for taking a run at it, though?
Yes.
Because I think they do. I think that we don't often see teams go out and try to put a pairing together and then build a roster around those two guys.
Yeah, I think you have to do whatever you can do.
Yeah.
The problem is, in this league, you cannot win by buying talent alone.
Yeah.
You have to be able to have the Austin Reeves, the Clay, Steph, and Dre. Like, you have to have,
development.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Nobody leverages Ryan Smith. Nobody. He shows up. Exactly.
Right. That's why he got booed at the NHL draft. Yeah. We saw that. Dude.
How, do you understand the kick in the nuts it's going to be when they win a Stanley Cup before an NBA championship?
And I think that's a real possibility. Like, you see all the, and I think it supports the point we've been making. Like, do you see all the hype around the hockey team right now? Like, oh, we drafted this guy and we signed that dude, and hey, new jerseys and everything's awesome. And let's put out a bunch of pictures of the rink installed at Delta Center. And it's like, hey, by the way, Ryan, I don't know if you're aware of this. NBA free agency's here.
Here's all the money we're spending on the hockey team, the Olympic Oval that's being rebuilt to be a practice rink and offices and the shopping mall and the draft and the Delta Center and the uniforms, as shitty as they are. Here's all the money. We'll look at all the draft, look at free agency. Nobody's talking about the Jazz. Nobody.
No,
Nobody is talking about the
Kyle
Jazz.
Filipowski.
No, they're not.
Romantic.
No, we're not talking about that here in the great state of Utah. There's nothing wrong with it. It's what we do. We show up.
Yeah.
We show up.
Was she really? I'm curious. I need somebody to ask him if she was 25 when they went to prom. At least he wasn't 15 Giddy style.
Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't first team all under 15.
She was allegedly 25 years old when he was 17.
How are you good with that as a 25-year-old, dude? How is that okay?
Oof. Andy H, I think they listen to offers to see if they get a ridiculous offer. If they get no crazy offers, then Lauri gets extended. Sure.
But
could be.
Is that, and I'm not even saying you're wrong. That's probably what's taking place here, Andy. But is that the best way to go about it? Because I'm not sure it is. Would it not be better to go out, extend him, and then build the roster around him? Why are you playing? And this is, again, a point I've made so many times. The Jazz play defense as an organization. They don't play offense. So you're sitting here waiting for the league to come to you about a Lauri trade when what you should be doing is taking control, right? What you should be doing is saying, hey, Danny, hey, Jay-Z, go out and build a championship contender. This is the budget you have to work with. That should be the initiative, not, well, hey, guys, let me know once we get a good offer for Lauri. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like we're sitting here waiting. You did the draft, and admittedly, you had a pretty solid draft. Give him credit. Had a solid draft. Now, if you ever develop those guys, I don't know. But you had a nice draft night. But I don't know. I don't trust the organization right now to make the right decisions and to make those decisions in a timely fashion, because that's what has to happen to have success in free agency.
Yep, I agree. Let's see. Mike Smith, the hockey team is the shiny new object, 100%.
Yeah, it's a new car, no doubt.
100%. Exactly right. Andy H, we got 7 20-year-olds on the roster and a lot of tradable vets, but we're going in the wrong direction. You're absolutely going in the wrong direction. So if you look at the Jazz, who's the young guy that you're developing?
Well, it was Keontae George, but then it seems like there's been a shift on that.
Who is the young guy you've developed? Ever. So all of a sudden, you're telling me you're going in the right direction. You have a bunch of young dudes, and you have zero history of developing young talent.
Oh, what did he say? What did he say? We got like 7 20-year-olds on the roster and a lot of tradable vets. But wait, I thought you were married to Jordan Clarkson.
But all I'm saying is take the 7 20-year-olds. Who are you developing? Your general manager essentially your head of basketball operations came out and said that Keontae George is not a number one. What are we doing? Like, who are you developing? Who's the young guy that you're like, oh man?
Well, Walker Kessler,
who is on the trade block. And this is the other thing that Jazz fans don't want to hear. Walker Kessler, as I've told you for 4 months, has a dysfunctional relationship with your in over his head coach, Will Hardy. And the Jazz are willing to move Walker Kessler. So you didn't develop Walker Kessler. You're not developing Keontae George. Like, who's the young guy that you have either developed or are developing? Because you have never drafted a guy, brought him in, turned him into a star. You haven't done that. And the hard part is, as much as I think we all hated the Rudy Gobert contract, he's become a better player with the Timberwolves. Is that because he's surrounded by a lot better talent? Yeah, probably. But he's become a better player. Now, has Donovan Mitchell done anything in Cleveland? Well, no. He's gotten hurt and missed the playoffs, significant playoff time, and now allegedly got his head coach fired. And but I think you start looking at the way that this organization goes about it, and we consider and talk about 7 20-year-olds on the roster. What does that mean?
Yeah, why does that? I guess, and I'm genuinely asking you. I'm really not coming after you. I'm very curious. Why does 7 20-year-olds and some tradable vets make you feel like the organization's going in the right direction?
And at what point do you stop having capital in your account and start spending it? Like, I'm tired of the thing that annoys me so much about the Jazz. Oh man, look at all this draft capital. Oh man, look at all these young guys. Okay, at what point are we like, man, look at all those trophies and look at all those rings?
Look at all the all-stars on the roster that we developed.
At what point do you start turning that draft capital and that young talent into something? Because we can go all the way back to Enes Kanter. We can go all the way back to the early days of Rudy Gobert. We can go all the way back to all of these draft picks that you bring in that don't turn into anything. So I disagree with you. Once the hype around the hockey team dies down, maybe Ryan will pay more attention to the Jazz. Maybe.
I think your concept is right, but I think your focus is wrong. It's not about the hype. It's about his pocketbook. Once the NHL team is making him money and Ryan is back in a good spot, or what he deems to be a good spot, then you will see the Jazz start spending money. Until that takes place, which I think it's going to be a couple of years, you won't see them spend money, in my opinion.
OG Gary, Flip's girlfriend. Now it's Flip?
I guess.
Okay. Flip's girlfriend loves music, and her favorite is probably A minor.
That's a Kendrick Lamar reference.
A minor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
nice job, Gary.
He's a minor?
Yeah.
Okay. So bad it's good. Exactly right. Calford. No, because the next Salt Lake Olympics will be the priority. Well, Ryan's heavily involved in that.
Again, another example.
Eric and Raleigh, a 20-year-old. The 20-year-olds aren't good players. They're not. Not right now. They're not. They are not. No more Pac-12 network and 7 channels off the air today. Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't know what the conversation is. Like, I saw in our members only group, everyone was talking about this. Oh, well, hey, Pac-12. Like, okay, I know that we did a lot of coverage on the Pac-12, but we knew this day was coming. I don't know what else there is to talk about with it. Like, come back to me when you actually can put together a conference that's Power 4 worthy, because I'm not doing a steroided up Mountain West back into a P5 with an AQ. We're not doing that. That's not going to happen. So until that takes place, I just don't know what the conversation is. The conversation, what it really should be is, hey, the Big Ten's coming alive. The Big 12's coming alive. Like, these new conferences are coming into form
Fucking
now.
Oklahoma, did you guys see?
Like,
Oklahoma put an SEC sticker on their stadium. Let me know when you're better than Texas. Well, Texas is back, Monty.
Marty.
Well aware Texas is back. I agree. I don't understand the fascination with the Pac-12. It's been out of business. It's not going out of business today. It's been out of business.
And like everyone obsessing over, oh, well, they took all the other teams off their website. Well, did you expect them to keep them on their website?
What did you think
like,
they were going to do?
What were they going to do? Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know what you. The Pac is dead officially, and America is great again.
Well played. Well played.
Stop it. Stop. Now it makes sense why Mormons like basketball so much. They're trying to develop young Mormons so they can play for the Jazz. The Mormon thing doesn't work for me. Yeah. It's not a young Mormon. It's this Filipowski situation is a very different thing. You know,